right before you break through, your body can panic. Not because you are weak, because your nervous system is trying to pull you back into the version of you it already knows. This is the part most people misread. They think fear means stop. They think tightness in the chest is a warning from reality. They think the sudden urge to quit is proof they were never meant for it. But the nervous system does not measure destiny. It measures familiarity. It is built to keep you alive, not to make you free. A breakthrough is not only a new result, it is a new identity with new rules, new exposure, new visibility, new responsibility, new consequences. Even if you want it, your system may treat it as a threat, because the old version of you has a map. It knows where danger lives. It knows what to say, what to hide, what to tolerate, what to avoid. It knows which rooms to shrink in so you do not get rejected. It knows which dreams to delay so you do not get disappointed. It knows how to stay small and still survive. The new version does not have that map yet. So your body does what it always does when the map disappears. It sounds the alarm. That alarm can look like procrastination that feels irrational. Not the normal kind, but the kind that shows up only when it matters. You can do 10 minor tasks all day, then freeze when it is time for the one move that would actually change your life. You can feel calm for weeks, then fall apart the night before you hit publish. You can be excited, then suddenly go numb the moment opportunity becomes real. People call that laziness, or lack of discipline, or self-sabotage. But under the surface, it is often regulation, not motivation. The nervous system has one basic question: is this safe? And safety to the nervous system is not about whether something is good for you. Safety is about whether something is known. Known pain can feel safer than unknown growth. Known struggle can feel safer than unfamiliar ease. Known disappointment can feel safer than new expectations. That is why some people panic when things start working. Not when they fail, but when they succeed. Because success changes the social contract of your life. If you have been the reliable one, a breakthrough changes how people depend on you. If you have been the invisible one, a breakthrough changes how people look at you. If you have been the one who plays small, a breakthrough forces you to be seen. Being seen is not a small thing to the nervous system. Visibility can feel like exposure. Exposure can feel like danger. Danger triggers protection. So the system creates an exit. It tells you to wait. It tells you to perfect it. It tells you to research more. It tells you to start over. It tells you to clean the house, answer emails, reorganize the calendar. It tells you anything as long as you do not cross the line. Because crossing the line means you cannot unsee who you are becoming. This is why the panic shows up right before the breakthrough. Not after, not during the easy part, right at the edge. The edge is where your identity shifts. The edge is where your old agreements break. The edge is where your nervous system loses control of the story it has been telling for years. Maybe your old story was, I am not the type of person who takes risks, or I do not stand out, or I do not charge that much, or I do not ask for help, or I do not speak up, or I do not leave, or I do not win. A breakthrough threatens that story, and the nervous system protects the story because it believes the story protects you. That is the key. Your body is not fighting your dreams. Your body is fighting uncertainty. This is also why positive change can trigger old symptoms. You may have a chance to move into a better situation and suddenly feel anxious like you did years ago. You may start a healthier relationship and feel restless, like something is wrong. You may finally have momentum and feel the urge to destroy it. The system is not broken. It is patterned. It has learned that change can come with loss. Loss of belonging, loss of approval, loss of control. If in the past, stepping forward led to criticism, your system remembers. If in the past, being visible led to judgment, your system remembers. If in the past, asking for more led to rejection, your system remembers. So now, when the door opens, the body prepares for impact. It speeds up the heart. It tightens the throat. It shortens the breath. It pulls energy away from creativity and into defense. It makes it hard to think clearly. And then the mind tries to interpret the signals. This is where people get trapped. They mistake activation for intuition. They treat panic as prophecy, but intuition is usually quiet. It is clean. It does not spiral. Panic is loud. It rushes. It demands immediate relief. It does not ask for truth. It asks for escape. When you understand this, you stop taking the alarm personally. You stop calling yourself weak. You stop turning a nervous system response into a character verdict. And you gain a new question. Instead of, what is wrong with me? You ask, what is my system trying to protect me from? Sometimes it is protecting you from failure, but often it is protecting you from success. Because success forces a new self-image, and a new self-image forces new boundaries, and new boundaries threaten old dynamics. If you grow, someone in your life may feel smaller. If you change, someone may lose access to the version of you they could control. If you step into your work, you may outgrow the role you were assigned. Your nervous system senses all of this before you can explain it. It senses the relational shift. It senses the status shift. It senses the risk of separation. So it panics, not because you cannot handle the breakthrough, but because you have not yet taught your body what safety feels like on the other side. A breakthrough requires capacity, not just courage. Capacity means you can stay present while you are activated. You can feel fear without obeying it. You can feel the urge to run and still take one honest step. If you can name the pattern, you can work with it. If you can work with it, you can move through it. This is the first reframe that changes everything. The panic is not a sign you should turn around. It is a sign you are at the border of the known. Your nervous system is doing its job. You have to do yours. Your job is not to eliminate fear. Your job is to lead the system into safety while you move forward. That starts with recognizing what is happening. This is not weakness. This is not fate. This is a nervous system response to a new level of reality. And once you see it that way, you stop negotiating with the alarm. You start building the bridge. You see it in the small moments that do not look dramatic from the outside, but inside, everything is loud. You delay the task that matters most. Not because you have no time, because the moment you touch it, your body tightens. You can answer messages. You can handle errands. You can stay busy all day. Yet, the one action that would move the needle, you avoid it with surgical precision. You lose sleep right before launch day, not weeks before, not on the random nights. The night when things become real, the night when you cannot pretend it is still hypothetical. Your chest feels heavy, your stomach pulls inward, your breath becomes shallow, your mind becomes sharp in the wrong way, scanning for reasons to stop. Then something strange happens. You want to cancel everything. You want to delete the draft, shut the laptop, disappear. You want silence. You want distance. You want to be unreachable. And then you label it with a sentence that sounds reasonable. I am not ready. That sentence is one of the most powerful traps in modern self-sabotage because it sounds like wisdom. It sounds mature. It sounds careful. But most of the time, it is not insight. It is protection. The pattern is specific. It does not show up when nothing is on the line. It shows up when you are about to be seen, when you are about to be measured, when you are about to meet the next version of your life. That is why the avoidance feels personal, because it hits your identity, not just your schedule. You start telling yourself, maybe I do not have what it takes. Maybe I was delusional. Maybe I should wait until it is perfect. Maybe I should learn more. Maybe I should plan more. Yet, the planning is not making you calmer. It is making you smaller. You think you need more confidence. But what you are missing is not confidence. It is safety. When your nervous system does not feel safe, it does not care about your goals. It does not care how much you want it. It does not care what is logical. It cares about one thing: reducing uncertainty. So it creates symptoms that push you away from the edge. Procrastination becomes a sedative. Perfectionism becomes a disguise. Overthinking becomes a hiding place. You call it being responsible, but the body knows what it is doing. It is delaying exposure. This is why you can be disciplined in every area except the one that would change your trajectory. This is why you can be productive and still be stuck. This is why you can work hard and still avoid the moment of truth. Because the moment of truth is not just a task, it is a test of identity. If you publish, you become someone who publishes. If you charge more, you become someone who charges more. If you speak up, you become someone who takes space. If you leave, you become someone who chooses themselves. The nervous system feels the weight of that shift. Even if your mind tries to minimize it, that is why you may feel the urge to disappear. Disappearing is a nervous system strategy. It removes the possibility of judgment. It removes the possibility of conflict. It removes the possibility of being wrong. Silence feels safer than visibility. And safety to the body is not a concept. It is a sensation. So the body tries to return you to what it knows. It tells you, do it later. It tells you, not today. It tells you, fix one more thing. It tells you, wait for the perfect moment. And then the perfect moment never arrives. Because the real issue was never the timing. It was the tolerance for being seen. There is also a deeper layer that most people avoid naming. Sometimes you are not afraid of failing. You are afraid of succeeding. Because success changes how people treat you. It changes how you treat yourself. It changes what you can no longer tolerate. If you break through, you might have to outgrow relationships that depend on the old you. You might have to disappoint someone who liked your compliance. You might have to stop explaining yourself. You might have to set boundaries that expose the truth. That is a social risk. And the nervous system is deeply social. Your body would rather keep peace than claim power. Not because you are weak, because your biology learned that belonging equals safety. So when you approach a breakthrough, your system asks, what will this cost me socially? Will I still be loved? Will I still belong? Will I still be safe? If the answer is unclear, the body tightens. It does not wait for evidence. It prepares for impact. This is why you can feel physical sensations when no physical danger exists. The danger is not a tiger. The danger is being evaluated. The danger is being rejected. The danger is being alone. Your system does not separate these. To the body, social threat is survival threat. So the chest gets heavy, the stomach knots, sleep becomes thin, the mind starts looping, not because you are broken, because you are at the edge. The most convincing part of this pattern is that it feels like truth. The thoughts feel clear. The doubts feel intelligent. The reasons feel urgent. That is the trick. When you are activated, your brain becomes a lawyer for fear. It will find evidence. It will build a case. It will present it as logic. It will say, you do not have enough skill. It will say, people will judge you. It will say, you will regret it. It will say, you should wait. But notice what it does not say. It does not say, I am scared. It hides the fear under strategy. And that is why people stay stuck for years. They keep respecting fear because it sounds like planning. You do not need to fight yourself here. You need to recognize the pattern in real time. The sign is not that you feel fear. The sign is that your fear makes you disappear. When you stop replying to messages, when you stop posting, when you stop making the call you promised you would make, when you shut down your voice right before it matters, that disappearance is not random. It is a response. The nervous system says, if we are not seen, we cannot be hurt. If we do not try, we cannot fail. If we do not step forward, we cannot be judged. And yet, there is a cost. The cost is the life you keep postponing because the breakthrough does not happen in your head. It happens in your behavior. It happens when you stay present long enough to do the thing while your body is loud. The mirror is meant to do one thing, to remove shame. If this is you, You are not uniquely flawed. You are not lazy at your core. You are not missing discipline as a person. You are experiencing a predictable nervous system response at the edge of change. And once you can see it, you can stop treating it like a personal failure. You can treat it like a signal that needs skill. The skill is not forcing yourself to feel ready. The skill is moving while you are not. That is how the old version loses its grip. Not through a dramatic transformation, through small choices that prove to your body, step by step, that the new level is survivable. You do not need a perfect mood. You need a steady direction. And the moment you stop calling this panic a sign to quit, it becomes what it always was. A doorway reaction, a threshold response. The edge does not mean danger. Sometimes the edge means you are close. Listen closely. That heaviness is not laziness. It is the sensation of an identity that no longer fits the room you are about to enter. Laziness is flat. It is passive. It does not come with a tight chest. It does not arrive with a racing heart right before a meaningful step. It does not show up with insomnia the night your life is about to change. What you are feeling is friction. Friction between who you have been and who you are about to become. Your nervous system learned you through repetition. It learned your patterns. It learned your roles. It learned what keeps you safe in your world. It learned how to be the one who over-delivers so no one complains. It learned how to be the one who stays agreeable so no one leaves. It learned how to be the one who stays quiet so no one targets you. It learned how to be the one who keeps expectations low so disappointment hurts less. Those are not personality traits. They are strategies. They were built in moments when you needed them. Some of them were built in childhood. Some of them were built in a hard season. Some of them were built after a single event that taught your body a lesson it never forgot. So when you reach for a breakthrough, your body is not comparing your dream to your talent. It is comparing your dream to your survival history. And the gap between those two creates the heaviness. Here is what most people miss. Identity is not just how you describe yourself. Identity is what your nervous system expects to be true. If your system expects you to be the one who stays small, then expansion feels unsafe. If your system expects you to be the one who avoids conflict, then visibility feels unsafe. If your system expects you to be the one who earns love through effort, then ease feels unsafe. So when life invites you into a new level, you can want it with your mind and still resist it with your body. This is not hypocrisy. It is conditioning. The old identity is familiar. It has routines. It has rules. It has a predictable emotional weather. Even if the old identity is painful, it is known, and known pain often feels safer than unknown possibility. So the heaviness you feel is not a moral failure. It is your system trying to keep coherence. Coherence matters to the nervous system. It wants your inner story to match your outer behavior. It wants your reality to stay consistent with the roles you have lived in. A breakthrough threatens coherence because it forces a rewrite. You cannot step into a new room while wearing an old costume and expect your body to feel calm. Your system senses the mismatch. You are about to act like a person you have not yet proven you can be. You are about to take a level of responsibility you have not yet practiced. You are about to be seen in a way you have not yet learned to tolerate. That is why the heaviness is specific. It is not random anxiety. It is targeted resistance at the exact point where identity changes. Look at where it hits. It hits when you are about to post the work. It hits when you are about to name your price. It hits when you are about to set the boundary. It hits when you are about to leave what is comfortable. It hits when you are about to stop pretending. That is identity friction. The old self says, do not risk it. Do not disrupt it. Do not make it real. Stay in the space where you can still explain why you have not done it yet. Because as long as you have not crossed the line, you can keep the fantasy of safety. You can keep the fantasy that you will do it when conditions are perfect. You can keep the fantasy that you are still in control, but a breakthrough removes fantasy. It makes things measurable. Once you publish, there is feedback. Once you launch, there is response. Once you speak, there is reaction. Once you choose, there is consequence. Your nervous system does not fear consequence because it is negative. It fears consequence because it is final. Finality means you cannot go back to the old story. This is why the heaviness can feel like grief. Because some part of you knows the old identity is ending. People do not talk about this enough. Growth includes loss. You lose the version of you who could blame circumstances. You lose the version of you who could stay ambiguous. You lose the version of you who could hide behind potential. You lose the version of you who could keep everyone comfortable by staying predictable. That loss can be quiet but real, and the body registers it. So the heaviness is not laziness. It is the emotional weight of an exit. An exit from old agreements. You may have an agreement that says, I do not take up space. You may have an agreement that says, I do not disappoint people. You may have an agreement that says, I stay available. You may have an agreement that says, I do not ask for too much. Those agreements were not signed on paper. They were signed in your nervous system through repetition, through what got rewarded, through what got punished, through what kept connection. And now the new room requires new agreements. It requires you to be direct. It requires you to be visible. It requires you to be firm. It requires you to tolerate someone misunderstanding you. It requires you to risk losing approval. That is why the body responds, because the body does not want you to lose connection. It would rather you lose the breakthrough. This is the part that needs to land. Your nervous system is loyal to the life you have survived, not to the life you say you want. So when you feel heavy, do not insult yourself. Do not label it as character. Label it as transition. Heaviness is often a sign that the old identity is being questioned, that the old operating system is being challenged, that the old version is losing authority. And that is good news if you know what to do with it. Because if you interpret heaviness as laziness, you will punish yourself. You will try to force productivity with shame. You will push harder, tighten more, and then wonder why you burn out. But if you interpret heaviness as identity friction, you will respond with skill. You will slow down enough to stay present. You will stop arguing with the sensation and start guiding it. Guiding does not mean avoiding. Guiding means creating enough safety in your body to take the next step. The goal is not to feel fearless. The goal is to feel capable while you are activated. That is what a new identity is, not a new set of affirmations, a new set of tolerances. Can you tolerate being seen? Can you tolerate being misunderstood? Can you tolerate not having certainty? Can you tolerate the quiet after you press publish? Can you tolerate success without shrinking back to prove you are still humble? Those tolerances are built through repetition, not through motivation. So the heaviness is information. It tells you which tolerance you are building right now. If your chest tightens when you are about to share your work, you are building tolerance for visibility. If your stomach knots when you are about to raise your price, you are building tolerance for receiving. If your throat tightens when you are about to say no, you are building tolerance for conflict. This reframes everything. You stop asking, why am I like this? You start asking, what capacity is being trained here? That question changes your relationship with the moment because you are no longer waiting to feel ready. You are practicing becoming ready, and that is the real shift. Readiness is not a feeling that arrives one day. Readiness is a pattern your body learns when you keep showing it calmly and consistently that the new room does not kill you. So yes, it feels heavy because you are carrying the old identity out the door. But heaviness is not a reason to stop. It is a sign that you are in the exact place where change becomes real. The old self cannot follow you into the new room. Not fully. Something has to loosen. Something has to end. And your nervous system will protest as it releases control. Let it protest. Do not obey it. Use the heaviness as a marker. This is the threshold. And the threshold is not where you turn back. It is where you learn to walk forward with a steady nervous system, one honest step at a time. Breakthrough is not only success, breakthrough is a new operating system. Most people think the breakthrough is the moment the results arrive. The launch works, the money changes, the relationship shifts, the body heals, the opportunities open. But the real breakthrough happens earlier. It happens when your internal system updates. A new operating system changes how you interpret reality. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you expect. It changes what you do automatically. That is why the nervous system reacts. It is not reacting to a goal. It is reacting to an update. Your nervous system is designed for survival through prediction. It scans your environment. It searches for patterns. It tries to reduce surprise, because surprise can be danger. In survival terms, the unknown can kill you. So the system develops a preference that is simple and powerful. It loves the familiar. Familiar does not mean good. Familiar means predictable. Predictable pain can feel safer than unpredictable growth. Predictable disappointment can feel safer than new possibility. Predictable struggle can feel safer than a different kind of responsibility. This is why people return to what hurts them. Not because they like suffering, because their nervous system knows how to navigate it. It knows the rules. It knows when to brace. It knows what comes next. Now look at what a breakthrough demands. A breakthrough creates new rules, new attention, new expectations, new decisions, new exposure, new reactions from other people, new inner standards. Even if it is positive, it is unfamiliar, and unfamiliar is registered as risk. So your system does something intelligent. It activates an alarm. The alarm is not a conscious choice. It is automatic. It shows up as a spike in anxiety, a wave of doubt, a sudden desire to delay, a need to control everything, a need to find certainty before you move. It is the system trying to protect you from the unknown, not because the new path is wrong, because it is unknown. This is the reveal that changes how you interpret your entire experience. The fear is not evidence. It is a mechanism. Your nervous system does not forecast your future. It forecasts your familiarity. If you have not lived as the person who is visible, visibility feels like danger. If you have not lived as the person who receives, receiving feels like danger. If you have not lived as the person who leads, leadership feels like danger. So the moment you approach that level, your system reacts as if you are stepping into a threat. This is why you can be calm while dreaming and anxious while acting. Dreams are safe because they are not real yet. Action is unsafe because it crosses the line. Once you act, the world can respond. And response is not fully controllable. The nervous system hates what it cannot control. Not because it is weak, because it is built to reduce risk. So it tries to pull you back. It pulls you back through the mind. It generates reasons. It tells you to wait until you are ready. It tells you to perfect it. It tells you to gather more information. It tells you to delay until conditions improve. It tells you to do anything except the one thing that would change your position. This is not a lack of willpower. This is an old operating system protecting its own design. Every operating system has default settings. If your default setting is people-pleasing, then a breakthrough that requires boundaries will feel dangerous. If your default setting is overworking, then a breakthrough that requires receiving support will feel dangerous. If your default setting is hiding, then a breakthrough that requires visibility will feel dangerous. The system is not trying to stop your success. It is trying to keep your identity consistent. Consistency is safety. That is why it prefers the known version of you. The known version has predictable outcomes. The known version knows how to explain itself. The known version knows how to survive criticism. The known version knows how to stay in control by staying small. The new version does not feel safe yet. Not because it is bad, because your system has not practiced it. Practice is the language of the nervous system. Your mind can understand a concept in 10 seconds. Your nervous system needs repetition to trust it. This is why insight alone does not create change. You can understand everything and still freeze at the moment. That matters because the system is not convinced. Conviction is built through evidence. Evidence is built through lived experience. So when you approach a breakthrough, your body is asking a practical question. Have we done this before? If the answer is no, it triggers an alarm. It does not mean do not do it. It means proceed with support. Most people miss this and take the alarm as a stop sign. They interpret activation as a warning from reality. They interpret fear as truth. But fear is often just unfamiliarity. This is where your power returns. When you stop asking, why am I afraid? And start asking, what is unfamiliar here? Because unfamiliar does not require shame. It requires training. A breakthrough is training for a higher level of reality. It is training to hold more attention, more responsibility, more freedom, more consequences, more agency, and holding more requires a stronger nervous system, not a tougher personality, a regulated system. This is why some people can have the opportunity and still sabotage it. Their system is not calibrated for the new environment. Imagine trying to run advanced software on an old device. It will lag, it will overheat, it will crash. Not because the software is wrong, because the system is not updated. Your breakthrough requires an update. An update changes the baseline of what feels normal. In the old baseline, stress might have felt normal. In the old baseline, chaos might have felt familiar. In the old baseline, proving yourself might have felt like love. So calm can feel suspicious. Ease can feel unsafe. Being treated well can feel unfamiliar. Receiving can feel like a trap. That is how deep this goes. The nervous system is not philosophical. It is practical. It asks, what has kept us safe so far? If chaos kept you alert, it will chase chaos. If overworking kept you valued, it will demand overwork. If shrinking kept you protected, it will tighten when you expand. So when you move toward a breakthrough, the system tries to restore the old baseline. It wants to return you to what it knows. It wants to bring you back to the old environment of self. That is why you feel the pull to retreat. Not because the new level is wrong, because the old level is familiar. The reveal is this: your nervous system can confuse familiar with safe. Safe is the present moment with enough capacity. Familiar is a memory pattern. Many people live inside memory patterns. They make decisions based on what their system expects, not what their life is asking. A breakthrough interrupts that. It says, we are not doing it the old way anymore. And the nervous system responds like a gatekeeper. It does not care about your vision board. It cares about your nervous system history. So it sounds the alarm. The alarm is not your enemy. It is information. It tells you that you are entering unfamiliar territory. It tells you that your system needs support. It tells you that the update is happening. If you can treat the alarm like information instead of a verdict, you stop negotiating with it. You stop letting it decide. You learn to move with it. That is the real shift. You do not wait for fear to disappear. You build familiarity while you act. You create small exposures. You take small steps that prove safety. You let your body learn the new room by being in it. This is how the new operating system installs. Not through one dramatic moment, through repeated proof that you can be seen and survive, proof that you can be judged and stay steady, proof that you can succeed and not abandon yourself. Then something changes. The unknown becomes known. The new becomes familiar. The alarm quiets, not because you forced it to, because you trained it. And when the system is trained, the breakthrough stops feeling like a threat. It starts feeling like a direction. So if your body is sounding the alarm right now, do not label it as a sign to turn back. Label it as a sign you are stepping into unfamiliar territory. That territory may be exactly where your next life begins. Not because it is guaranteed, because you are finally willing to update the system that decides what you believe is possible. The harder you try to stay the same, the more reality pushes back. This is not punishment. It is physics of the inner world. When growth is real, it demands movement. If you refuse movement, the pressure builds. You can feel it in your body first. You tighten your jaw, you hold your breath, you lock your shoulders, you clench your stomach. You keep functioning, but you are not flowing. You call it being strong, you call it being disciplined, but underneath, it is control. It is an attempt to freeze life at a moment that is already passing. The nervous system loves control because control reduces uncertainty. But control has a cost. The cost is congestion. You squeeze yourself into the old shape, then you wonder why you cannot breathe. The more you try to keep your identity unchanged, the more you experience resistance. Not because the world is against you, because your internal system is split. One part of you is moving forward, another part is pulling back. That split creates friction. Friction creates heat. Heat creates fatigue. This is why you can work all day and still feel behind. You are spending energy on the task and on the fight against the task. You are doing two jobs at once. In that state, reality starts to feel heavy. Simple actions feel complicated. Clear decisions feel foggy. Small obstacles feel like signs. The truth is simpler. Your system is overloaded. When you are overloaded, you start gripping harder. You try to force clarity. You try to force certainty. You try to force the perfect plan. And that is where the spiral begins. Because certainty is not something you can demand from a new level. A new level is new by definition. It cannot arrive with foolproof. It arrives with partial information. It arrives with risk. So when you insist on certainty, you create a problem that cannot be solved. You ask for a guarantee that does not exist. Then your brain keeps searching. It scans, it doubts, it loops, it repeats. The more you search for certainty, the more you notice what you cannot control. The more you notice what you cannot control, the more anxious you feel. The more anxious you feel, the more you search for certainty. That loop is not intelligence. It is a nervous system pattern. This is why people say, I just need to be sure. Then they stay stuck for months, not because they lack options, because they are negotiating with uncertainty instead of learning to hold it. There is a moment that exposes this pattern clearly. When you are about to act, your body tightens. Your mind says, wait. Your mind says, not yet. Your mind says, one more time, one more check, one more tweak. That is the grip. You grip your outcome. You grip other people's reactions. You grip the timeline. You grip your image. You grip the version of you who must be right. Then reality responds the way it always responds, to a tight grip. It gets tighter to, you meet more delays. You meet more confusion. You meet more misunderstandings. You meet more emotional turbulence. Not because life is cruel, because tension tends to multiply tension. If you walk into a new level braced for impact, you will interpret everything as impact. A neutral email feels like rejection. A slow response feels like failure. A minor setback feels like confirmation that you should stop. Then you grip even more. You over-explain, you over-plan, you overcorrect, you overwork, and you become even more exhausted. This is why force does not produce a clean breakthrough. Force produces strain. Strain produces shutdown. At a certain point, the body will protect itself. It will give you fatigue. It will give you brain fog. It will give you numbness. It will give you apathy. People call that burnout. But many times it is not just too much work. It is too much resistance while working. There is also another layer when you try to keep yourself unchanged. You try to keep your relationships unchanged. You try to keep the roles stable. You try to keep the expectations familiar. That is impossible during growth because a breakthrough changes the social field around you. You become more visible. You become more direct. You become more selective. You become less available. Some people will celebrate that. Some people will resist it. If you are still attached to being liked by everyone, that resistance will feel unbearable. So you grip harder. You try to control how you are perceived. You try to control how you are understood. But You cannot control perception. You can only control your integrity. When you grip perception, you lose your center. When you lose your center, you lose your clarity. When you lose your clarity, you lose your momentum. Then the mind starts bargaining again. Maybe I should change my message. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should make it softer. Maybe I should make it perfect. This is how people edit themselves out of their own breakthrough. The irony is brutal. The thing you want is on the other side of releasing the need to be the same. But the fear of change makes you clutch the old identity. Then the clutching creates pain. Then the pain becomes the reason you do not move. So the cycle continues. Here is the tension you must name, clearly and without drama. The old self cannot carry you into the new room. It can support you, but it cannot lead you. If it leads you, it will recreate the old life with new decorations. You can raise your goals and still live in the same nervous system. You can change your strategy and still keep the same fear. You can do everything right and still sabotage the moment that requires a new identity. Because the breakthrough is not a tactic, it is a transition. Transitions are messy when you try to keep everything clean. If you keep demanding certainty, you will keep demanding delay. If you keep demanding control, you will keep demanding smallness. If you keep demanding that you feel calm before you move, you will keep rewarding avoidance. That is the truth beneath the tension. Your nervous system is not asking for your dream. It is asking for a guarantee, and the guarantee is not coming. So you must change the question. Not, can I be sure? But, can I be steady while I am not sure? Not, can I control how this turns out? But, can I control how I show up? Not, can I keep the old version and still get the new life? But, can I release the old version with respect? This is where the tension becomes useful, because tension forces a decision. Either you keep gripping and life keeps feeling like a fight, or you start loosening and life starts giving you space. Loosening does not mean quitting. Loosening means letting the new level be new, letting some unknown remain unknown, letting your body learn through movement. The moment you stop begging for certainty, your mind quiets. The moment you stop gripping your identity, your body softens. The moment you stop trying to keep everything the same, reality stops pressing so hard. Not because the path becomes easy, because you stop creating extra resistance. This is the build-up before the shift. You feel the squeeze. You feel the urge to control. You feel the desire to freeze, and you choose a different response. You choose to move without a guarantee. You choose to breathe while you act. You choose to let discomfort exist without treating it as danger. That is when the tension breaks. Not with a loud explosion, with a quiet release, with a single decision that says, I will not hold myself hostage to certainty anymore. That is the moment reality stops fighting you, because you stop fighting reality. The truth is simple. You are not falling apart. You are breaking free. What feels like collapse is often release. The old structure is loosening. The old rules are losing authority. The old version is no longer able to hold you in place. That is why it feels intense, because your system is used to equating stability with safety. And now stability is changing shape. Most people misinterpret this moment. They think panic means danger. They think discomfort means a mistake. They think the urge to run is wisdom. But panic is not a stop sign. It is a checkpoint. A checkpoint exists for one reason: to verify identity before entry. Your nervous system is doing a scan. It is checking whether you can survive the next environment. It is checking whether the new level matches what it knows. It is checking whether you have the capacity to hold what you are asking for. That is why the alarm rises at the border. Not because you are wrong, because you are crossing into the unknown. The unknown is not evil. It is simply untrained territory. If you have lived most of your life performing for safety, then being fully expressed will feel risky. If you have lived most of your life avoiding conflict, then boundaries will feel dangerous. If you have lived most of your life undercharging, and overgiving, then receiving will feel suspicious. The checkpoint is where these contradictions get exposed. You want the breakthrough, but the old system still believes that staying small keeps you safe. So it panics. Here is the breakthrough inside the breakthrough. The panic is not a command. It is a sensation. A sensation becomes a decision only when you treat it like authority. When your chest tightens, you do not have to obey it. When your stomach knots, you do not have to retreat. When your mind floods with reasons, you do not have to accept the argument. You can let the body speak and still lead. That is what mature change looks like, not the absence of fear. The presence of leadership. Leadership is not aggressive. It is steady. It says, I understand you are trying to protect me, and we are still moving. This is the moment where people either upgrade or return. They return when they demand comfort before action. They return when they wait for readiness to arrive. They return when they interpret activation as proof of failure. They upgrade when they do something different. They treat the checkpoint like a process, not a verdict. They pass through. Passing through is not about forcing yourself. It is about building proof. The nervous system trusts proof, not promises. You can tell yourself all day that you are safe, but if your actions keep avoiding the edge, your system learns one thing: the edge is dangerous. So the way through is not more thinking, it is better evidence. Evidence is built in small exposures. Small exposures are how the body learns, not a dramatic leap, a clean step. This is what people get wrong. They think the answer is a huge act of bravery. Then they wait until they can summon it. Then they stay stuck. The body does not need a heroic moment. It needs repetition. A checkpoint is passed by showing valid identification. In your case, the identification is capacity. Capacity looks like this. You can feel activation and still breathe. You can feel doubt and still complete one small action. You can feel fear and still stay in the room. This is why the panic shows up right before the breakthrough. The system is asking, can we hold this? The answer is not delivered through a speech. The answer is delivered through behavior. One email sent, one post published, one boundary spoken, one price stated, one conversation initiated, one decision made without begging for certainty. These actions are not only tasks, they are signals to the nervous system. They say, we are capable. They say, we can survive visibility. They say, we can survive response. They say, we can survive being misunderstood. This is how the checkpoint relaxes, not by convincing it. By training it, you are not trying to destroy the alarm. You are teaching the alarm a new definition of safe. Safe is not the absence of risk. Safe is the presence of support and self-trust. Support can be external, a mentor, a friend, a community, a therapist, a structured plan. Support can also be internal, a regulated breath, a grounded posture, a slower pace, a clear next step. Self-trust is the foundation. Self-trust does not mean you believe everything will go perfectly. Self-trust means you believe you can handle the outcome without abandoning yourself. That is the real passport at the border. If you do not trust yourself, you will keep searching for guarantees. You will keep asking the world for certainty. You will keep delaying until you feel safe. But the world cannot give you that kind of safety. Only capacity can. So the breakthrough is this. You stop treating panic like a prophecy. You treat it like a checkpoint procedure. Procedure is calm. Procedure is repeatable. Procedure is not personal. Step 1, name what is happening. My system is activated because this is new. Step 2, reduce the intensity, not the goal. You do not need to cancel the launch. You need to lower the pressure in the body. Step 3, take the smallest step that proves forward movement, not the step that completes everything. The step that keeps the door open. This is how you cross borders, one stamp at a time. Many people think breakthrough is loud. They expect fireworks. They expect instant confidence. But real breakthroughs often feel quiet from the outside. They look like someone staying present while their system is loud. They look like someone choosing integrity over comfort. They look like someone letting the new identity form through action. There is also something else that becomes clear at this stage. The old identity will argue, it will offer respectable reasons. It will say you are being careful. It will say you are being strategic. It will say you are avoiding mistakes. Sometimes those reasons are valid. Often they are camouflage. The easiest way to tell is simple. Does the reason expand your life or shrink it? Does the reason create movement or delay it? Does the reason make you more honest or more hidden? If it leads to hiding, it is not wisdom. It is fear dressed as logic. A checkpoint does not ask you to feel good. It asks you to be real. Real means you admit the truth. I am scared, and I am still doing it. Real means you stop negotiating with the edge. You stop trying to talk yourself out of your next level. This is where the panic becomes useful. It shows you exactly where your capacity is being built. If you feel panic before visibility, your capacity is visibility. If you feel panic before boundaries, your capacity is boundaries. If you feel panic before receiving, your capacity is receiving. The discomfort is not random. It is targeted training. So instead of treating it as failure, you treat it as a curriculum. That shift changes everything. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is being asked of me? And the answer is usually the same. Hold steady. Move anyway. Prove to your body that the new world is survivable. That is how you pass the checkpoint. Not by becoming fearless, by becoming consistent. Consistency is how the new operating system installs. Consistency is how the nervous system learns. Consistency is how the old version releases its grip. So if you are in that moment right now, do not call it collapse. Call it border pressure. You are not losing yourself. You are leaving a version of yourself that cannot go where you are headed. The panic is not telling you to go back. It is telling you that the crossing is real. And if the crossing is real, then so is the life on the other side. The shift always begins in silence. Not the kind of silence that is empty. The kind that is clear. The kind that arrives when you stop wrestling your own nervous system like it is an enemy. Most people treat their inner world like a problem to solve. They chase the right mindset. They hunt the perfect routine. They force motivation. They argue with fear. They negotiate with fatigue. And the more they fight, the more they feel stuck. Because the fight itself is the signal that keeps the system activated. When you are fighting yourself, your nervous system reads danger. Not because the world is dangerous, because your body is in conflict. Conflict keeps the stress response alive. It keeps your attention locked on threat. It keeps your thoughts looping. It keeps your breath shallow. So even when nothing is happening, everything feels like it is happening. Silence is not passivity. Silence is regulation. It is the moment you stop fueling the alarm with resistance. It is the moment you stop adding shame to sensation. It is the moment you stop turning discomfort into a crisis. That is the anchor. The shift begins when you stop making your nervous system wrong. Because when you make it wrong, you attack it. When you attack it, it defends itself. When it defends itself, it tightens. Then you feel more tension. Then you fight harder. And you spiral. That spiral looks like self-improvement. It is actually self-conflict. A real shift starts when the war ends. Not the war with the world. The war with the part of you that is trying to protect you. That part is not mature, but it is loyal. It learned long ago that intensity equals safety. It learned that control equals survival. It learned that overthinking prevents pain. So it does what it knows. It creates noise. The noise is the endless mental commentary. The noise is the analysis that never lands. The noise is the planning that becomes avoidance. The noise is the self-criticism that pretends to be accountability. Silence is when you stop feeding that noise. You do not silence it by force. You silence it by refusing to argue, you notice the thought. You do not chase it. You notice the sensation. You do not judge it. You notice the urge to run. You do not obey it. That is silence. And in that silence, something else becomes possible. A new energy starts organizing your life. People misunderstand that phrase, new energy. They think it means magic. It is not magic. It is alignment. When the fight ends, your energy stops leaking. When your energy stops leaking, you have more capacity. When you have more capacity, you make cleaner choices. When you make cleaner choices, your reality rearranges. Not because the universe rewards you for being calm, because your nervous system is the filter that decides what you see, what you tolerate, and what you choose. If your system is activated, you see threats. You interpret neutral events as negative. You choose short-term relief. You abandon long-term goals. If your system is regulated, you see options. You interpret events with nuance. You choose actions that match your direction. You can stay with discomfort without making it a disaster. That is the practical meaning of energy reorganizing your life. It starts with attention. In an activated state, attention narrows. You fixate. You obsess. You react. In a regulated state, attention opens. You notice patterns. You notice timing. You notice what is actually important. This is why silence is the beginning. Silence gives you data. When you stop fighting yourself, you can finally hear what is true. You can hear the difference between fear and fact. You can hear what you want instead of what you are trying to avoid. You can hear the boundary you have been negotiating. You can hear the decision that has been waiting under all the thinking. Most people do not need more motivation. They need fewer internal arguments. An internal argument burns energy. It creates fatigue before you even act. It creates resentment toward your own goals. Then you start associating your breakthrough with suffering. And of course, your system resists. It has learned that your dreams come with pressure. Silence breaks that association. Silence says, we can move without violence. This is where the shift becomes visible. You stop trying to force a perfect mood. You stop trying to eliminate fear. You stop trying to control every outcome. You start doing something more powerful. You start cooperating with your system. Cooperation looks like this. You recognize activation early. You soften your breath. You relax your jaw. You slow down the pace of your thoughts, not to escape the work. To make the work sustainable, you take one clear step, then another. This is how new energy organizes your life. It organizes it through rhythm. A regulated nervous system creates rhythm. Rhythm creates consistency. Consistency creates trust. Trust is what replaces panic. When you trust yourself, you do not need to grip. When you do not grip, you can adapt. When you can adapt, you become effective. This is why some people look lucky. They are not lucky. They are regulated enough to respond instead of react. They do not waste days in internal war. They do not punish themselves for being human. They do not demand certainty before movement. They have a quiet power. Quiet power is not confidence as a personality. It is steadiness as a practice. It comes from one decision repeated daily. I will not fight myself to the point of collapse. When you stop fighting yourself, your body stops bracing. When your body stops bracing, your mind gets clearer. When your mind gets clearer, your choices get cleaner. When your choices get cleaner, your life starts to change. The shift begins in silence because silence is where you regain authority. In noise, your nervous system runs the show. In silence, you return to leadership. Leadership means you can hold two truths at once. I feel fear, and I am safe enough to take a step. Leadership means you stop making sensation mean failure. You stop assigning meaning too quickly. You stop turning discomfort into a story about who you are. Silence is where you separate sensation from identity. That separation is freedom, because The moment you stop identifying with the panic, you stop feeding it. It becomes a wave, not a wall. It becomes weather, not a warning. And in that space, new energy arrives. New energy looks like a different decision made without drama, a boundary spoken without apology, a message sent without rehearsing, a draft published without perfection, a price stated without explaining, a rest taken without guilt. These are not small. These are the building blocks of a new life. They do not come from force. They come from silence. Silence is not the absence of action. It is the absence of internal sabotage. It is the moment you stop trying to win against yourself and start trying to win with yourself. The shift always begins in silence because silence is the first environment where a new identity can breathe. If you are constantly pressuring yourself, the new identity will feel like another demand. It will feel like another performance. It will feel like another way to fail. But if you bring silence, the new identity feels like space. It feels like permission. It feels like a home you can actually live in. That is how energy reorganizes your life. Not with noise, not with dramatic declarations, with a quiet end to the fight. Silence is where your system learns a new truth. Nothing is chasing me. I can move at a clean pace. I can take one step without collapsing. From that truth, your actions change. From your actions, your results change. From your results, your reality changes. And it starts here, in silence. Do this for 40 seconds. Not to calm down for comfort, to regain control of your system so you can move. Put one hand on your chest. Put one hand on your lower belly. Feel the contact. Do not rush past it. Contact is a signal of safety. Now inhale for 4 counts. E, R, San, Si. Then exhale for 6 counts. E, R, San, Su, Wu. Do it again. Inhale, fear. Exhale, 6. Again, inhale, fear. Exhale, 6. Again, inhale, fear. Exhale, 6. 4 rounds. This is not a relaxation trick. This is a nervous system intervention. A longer exhale tells your body something precise. The threat is not immediate. You can come out of high alert. That shift matters because when your system is in high alert, you do not think clearly. You scan, you predict danger. You look for reasons to escape. You try to control everything. So you do not need more motivation. You need less alarm. Now, while your hands are still there, say this quietly. My body is protecting me and I am still going to move small. Say it again. Slow. My body is protecting me and I am still going to move small. This sentence does 2 things at once. It respects the protector and it keeps you in leadership. Most people fail here because they speak to themselves like an enemy. They say, stop being ridiculous. They say, get it together. They say, why are you like this? That language creates internal conflict. Conflict creates more activation. More activation creates more avoidance. So you replace conflict with cooperation. My body is protecting me and I am still going to move small. Small is the key word. Your nervous system does not trust huge leaps when it is activated. Huge leaps feel like exposure. Exposure feels like threat. Threat triggers shutdown. Small steps work because they create proof without overwhelming the system. Small steps say, we are safe enough for this. We are not asking for perfection. We are asking for movement. Now choose one micro step that takes under 2 minutes. Send one message, not the perfect message, a clear message. Write 3 lines, not a full page. 3 lines. Open the file for 2 minutes. Do not try to finish the whole thing. Open it, look at it, touch the work. This is how you retrain your system. You link safety with action. If you only act when you feel confident, you reinforce the belief that action is dangerous. Because the body learns, I can only do this when I feel no fear. But fear is not the problem. Fear is a signal. And signals can be present while you move. So you build a different association. I can be activated and still act. I can feel fear and still move. I can feel pressure and still choose one small step. That is capacity. Capacity is what creates the breakthrough, not intensity, not willpower, not a perfect mindset. Capacity is built with repetition. And repetition has to be small enough that you do not abandon it. This is why this micro action matters. It is not a one-time rescue. It is a template. When you feel the panic before a big move, you do the same sequence. Contact, breath, language, micro step, contact, hand on chest, hand on belly. This anchors you in the body instead of the story. Breath, inhale 4, exhale 6. This lowers the alarm level. Language, my body is protecting me and I am still going to move small. This ends the internal war. Micro step, 2 minutes. This creates evidence. Evidence is what changes the nervous system. Your system does not change because you understand something. It changes because you survive a new behavior. It changes because you do the scary thing in a small dose and discover you are still here. That is what safety really is. Not comfort, survival with integrity. Now pay attention to what happens after you do the micro step. The world does not end. The ground does not open. You do not get destroyed. Your body may still feel activated, but you are no longer frozen. You have movement. You have direction. This is what people miss. Progress does not require feeling good first. Progress requires building momentum while you feel what you feel. And momentum changes the chemistry of fear. Fear thrives in stillness. Fear thrives in delay. Fear grows when you give it time to build a story. Movement interrupts the story. A small message sent is a cut through the spiral. 3 lines written is a cut through perfectionism. 2 minutes with the file is a cut through avoidance. And once the spiral is cut, your system has a chance to settle. You are teaching it a new rule. We do not disappear when we feel pressure. We regulate, then we take a step. This is how you stop self-sabotage without fighting yourself. You might notice resistance even to the micro step. That is normal. The mind will say, this is too small to matter. That thought is another strategy to keep you frozen. Small steps matter because they keep the bridge intact. They keep you connected to the work. They keep the identity shift alive. The identity shift is fragile at first. If you disappear for a week, the old identity regains power. If you keep touching the work daily, even for 2 minutes, the new identity strengthens. 2 minutes is not about productivity. It is about loyalty. You are proving to your nervous system that you will not abandon yourself at the border. That is a rare kind of trust. Do not make the micro step complicated. Complication is another form of control. Control feeds anxiety. Keep it clean. 1 breath pattern, 1 sentence, 1 small action, then stop. Let that be enough. Enough is also a nervous system lesson. If you always demand more, you teach your body that action equals pressure, then it will resist action. If you allow enough, you teach your body that action can be safe, then it will stop panicking as often. Safety plus movement, that is the formula. Not confidence, not inspiration. Safety plus movement. And the more you practice it, the faster your system recalibrates. The first time you do this, you may still feel shaky. That is fine. This is not about turning fear off. It is about turning leadership on. Hands to chest and belly. Inhale fear. Exhale 6. 4 rounds. My body is protecting me. And I am still going to move small. Then 1 micro step. That is how you pass the checkpoint without forcing yourself. That is how you build a breakthrough that lasts. If you are panicking, you might be closer than you think. Not close in the way people use that phrase to sound hopeful. Close in a concrete way. Close because the nervous system does not flare up when nothing is changing. It flares up when a threshold is real. The panic is often a signal that your old timeline is losing influence. Old timeline means the familiar loop, the same choices, the same excuses, the same delays that feel responsible, the same standards that keep you safe and stuck at the same time. The loop has a logic. It protects you from embarrassment. It protects you from being judged. It protects you from the discomfort of being seen. It protects you from the risk of wanting something and not getting it. That protection can look like wisdom, but when you look closer, it has one goal: keep you predictable. Predictable is comfortable for the nervous system, even when predictable is painful. So when the new timeline starts pulling you, your system tries to restore the old one. It offers you familiar solutions. Wait, do more research, fix one more thing, stay quiet, do not move yet. This is where most people lose the moment. They treat familiar as safe. They go back to the old timeline, not because it is right, but because it is known. That is the decision point. You do not need a dramatic transformation at this point. You need a clean choice. Do I obey what is familiar, or do I honor what is true? A familiar feels like relief in the short term. Truth feels like tension in the short term, but the long term is the opposite. Obeying familiar keeps you in a loop. Honoring truth builds a new life. That is why the destination matters. You are not trying to win a moment. You are trying to become a person who does not retreat from their own future. A new timeline is not a fantasy. It is a pattern of choices you repeat until it becomes normal. Normal is the real goal, not intense motivation, not constant confidence. Normal means you follow through even when your system is loud. Normal means you regulate and still act. Normal means you do not disappear at the edge. That is what it looks like when the next version of you is near. The next version is not a perfect version. It is a consistent version, consistent with your values, consistent with your standards, consistent with your boundaries, consistent with the life you say you want. This is why the panic is so important to reframe. If you treat panic as proof you are not ready, you will return to the old timeline. If you treat panic as a checkpoint, you will do the procedure and pass through. Procedure beats emotion. Procedure is reliable. Procedure is not personal. That is how you stop making this moment about your worth. Your worth is not on trial. Your capacity is being built. Capacity is built in small moments that do not look impressive. Opening the file when you want to avoid it. Writing 3 lines when you want to quit. Sending the message when your chest feels tight. Posting the work when you want to wait for perfect. These are not small in the nervous system. These are proof. Proof changes identity. Identity is not what you say you are. Identity is what you repeatedly do under pressure. So if you are at the edge right now, choose one behavior that matches the new timeline, not 10. One. One is enough to keep the bridge intact. The old timeline wins when you disappear. The new timeline wins when you stay present. Staying present does not mean you feel calm. It means you do not run from your own experience. You feel the sensation and you breathe. You hear the doubts and you do not follow them. You notice the urge to hide and you choose one small action anyway. This is the quiet moment where the next version of you becomes real. Most people think their next version arrives when they finally feel different. That is backward. You feel different after you act different for long enough. Feeling follows evidence. So the destination is simple. You become the person who does not go back to the old timeline just because it is familiar. That is the only promise that matters. Not a promise that everything will work. Not a promise you will never feel fear. A promise that you will not abandon yourself at the border. If you keep that promise, you will build a life that matches it. There is also something practical here that can save you years. The old timeline is not only inside you, it can be reinforced by your environment. Certain conversations pull you back. Certain people expect the old you. Certain spaces reward your compliance. Certain routines keep you sleepy. A new timeline often requires new inputs, not in a dramatic way, in a precise way. You choose what you consume. You choose who you disclose your plans to. You choose the room you build your work in. You choose the standards you keep even when no one is watching. That is how a new timeline stabilizes. Stability is not luck. Stability is design. Design means you do not rely on willpower alone. You build support. Support can be structure, a schedule that respects your energy, a deadline that is real, a simple plan for the next 3 steps. Support can be people, one person who tells the truth, one person who holds you steady, one place where you do not have to perform. Support can be self-respect, rest without guilt, boundaries without apology, decisions without over-explaining. When you build support, the new timeline becomes easier to live in. Then the nervous system stops panicking so often because the unknown becomes familiar. That is the direction. So if you are panicking, pause and ask a sharper question. What is the old timeline offering me right now? It might be offering you delay. It might be offering you comfort. It might be offering you invisibility. Then ask the next question. What would the new timeline do in the next 2 minutes? Not the next 2 years, the next 2 minutes. The next 2 minutes is where change becomes real. Not in speeches, not in plans, in choices. This is where you stop making it complicated. You do not need to solve your entire life today. You need to stay out of retreat. Do not go back to the old timeline just because it is familiar. Familiar is not a compass. It is a habit. Let familiarity be what it is. A memory. Let your direction be what it needs to be. A decision. If this message lands for you, stay close to it. Not to the words, to the practice. When you feel the alarm, do the procedure. Hands, breath, 1 sentence, 1 small step, then repeat tomorrow. That repetition is what creates the new normal. That new normal is what creates the breakthrough. So if you are close, do not disappear. Stay present, stay honest, stay in motion. Your next version is not far away. It is built in the moments when you want to retreat and you choose not to. Stay here long enough to become familiar with the new timeline. Then it will stop feeling like a risk. It will start feeling like home.